Hey everybody, welcome to One Up to Nerd. My name is Frankie.
And I'm Kevin.
And you're watching our show. Make sure to like, subscribe, and have the notifications on so you know when we post awesome nerdy stuff.
You know, and doing this podcast has really, I think, pushed us to continue to consume different stuff, and that's landed
definitely.
you in heavy into comic books. What do you got this stack over here of
I know,
all kinds
I'm
of
super
stuff.
stoked. So, okay, my comic book home is located here in Laguna Hills. It's Nuclear Comics. There's also Comic Quest, which is not too far away. I've mentioned those shops a couple times on the podcast before. Kenny, who's the owner of Nuclear Comics, they've won several awards for like what they offer. They're like
There's awards for offering.
They're like, I don't know what the name. I should look it up, but they're like a leader as far as comic books are concerned. They always have booths at Comic Cons, and I believe there'll be a WonderCon and all kinds of stuff like that. But like, you know,
How does that work? How does that work at like a comic store at a comic convention where
like
everybody has the same like?
I mean, well, not everybody.
A lot of the overlap.
Everybody has the ssame like number one Spider-Mans. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like they go and
Got
they
it.
kind of sell some of those backlogged ones
Got
that
it.
people are looking for, and apparently that's kind of his niche.
Got it.
I tell you, if there's anybody out there who wants to get into comic books, that shop is a great spot because Kenny you can go in there and Kenny will be like, "What do you like to read? What do you like? You like sci-fi? You like?"
And he'll
like
he'll
fantasy?
like curate your comic book experience.
You like mystery, you like D&D, whatever, and boom, he'll be like, read that, read this, and you're good to go. And you know, it takes a while to find a couple comic books that you really like will engage with, and especially for me, like if the art style isn't there, that's a really tough sell for me. If I can open up the book. And
What is the art style for you? Is that like illustration, or is it like stylized? Is it like Sin City, or is it like cinematic quality graphics?
You know, that's a hard. Those are hard questions because I'm still learning myself. So,
what do you like?
Well, so like when I open up a comic book and it kind of has like maybe like a sketch style drawing. Like this is Deadly Class, and this is number 3. Deadly, and it kind of is. It's if you show the camera, that's Deadly Class number 3, and it's more of like a sketchy.
It's stylized. It has a unique style that's like it's kind of. I don't know. It's really cool.
Yeah, but so like if you look at the Umbrella Academy, it's definitely more, I would say, cartoony, right? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if those are generally better, if that's a better word to describe the art style. Kevin actually has a degree in
design,
freaking art and design, so he'd be a better person to talk to about this.
You know, the art history classes and all the different styles of art are something that I wish I remembered more of, because sometimes I can call out an art style, but like. Not anymore. So thanks for putting me on the spot there. This is more traditional comic book style, though. Like specifically, comic books have their own style, and this is like where you see some of the like the darker black shadow and the heavy contour and contrast, and the Deadly Class one's a little bit more flat,
right?
And doesn't have as crisp.
It's
contrast.
not as crisp and
it's
clean,
more. They call it's a certain type of shading that they do. I forget what it's called.
I don't know. It feels like a sketch drawing to me.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I would describe it. But anyways, so there's a lot of really great comic books out right now that have caught my interest. And comic book drops on Wednesdays. That's when the new the new issues come out.
Yep.
If you're following a particular series, those comic books generally drop every 4 to 5 weeks.
Every 4 to 5 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. So like right now, big one for me, the one I'm getting, I'm like, oh, it's coming out this week, is the new X-Force. And there's just 2 out right now, and so the third one drops.
And what's X-Force made up of?
X-Force he kind of has.
It's like X-Men.
It's kind of like X-Men, but it has what's her name? It was the X-Force in not Daredevil.
Like Elektra?
No, not Elektra. Who was
one of those canceled ones?
Who does Ryan Reynolds play? Deadpool.
Oh, okay, Deadpool. Yeah.
So, but you have Kate. But what's really cool about this X-Force comic is that it features Cable, but not old Cable, young Cable.
Oh, is that him right here?
Yeah. And he is
not grizzled veteran Cable,
right? And so that changes a lot. And the characters, like Domino from I keep wanting to say Daredevil, Deadpool. She's in there as one of the mainstays, and this crew actually goes like, I guess is a little bit more of like a throwback to the original crew because characters come and go and stuff like that.
Yeah,
definitely, if you get your hands on this one, check it out because it's definitely interesting with that young Cable because he's from the future. And he has a motive and what he's trying to accomplish, and it's kind of neat.
All right.
Also,
that looks fun.
If you like Dean, I'm going to get into that Middle West, but from Image Comics is Die, and Die is really cool. It's like basically D&D meets Jumanji. So these characters, unbeknownst to them, get sucked into this world.
Oh wow.
And then, like...
These covers are awesome.
Yeah, the artwork coming on the covers is great, and those are really cool. And then Middle West, the fourth one just dropped this past week. There's 4 issues. This one is very fantasy in the sense of, like, it kind of feels like Oz. Oz.
Set in the Midwest.
Set in the Midwest, right? There's kind of like this sort of shade of fantasy applied to it, and kind of like
that,
like Oz.
That cover, that kid's just raging.
Oh yeah, well no, that's part of it. The rage is part of
part of that,
is
like,
part of the story and what's going on with these characters and stuff like that.
Kind of like Carrie.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, like I said, it kind of has like this Oz feel to it. Or with remember that movie? Was it Big Fish or Real Fish? With Danny DeVito was in it, and Ewan McGregor.
I think I saw it once, but I don't remember the premise of it.
Well, I mean, if you can kind of remember, throw back a little bit to there's like that sort of veil of fantasy that kind of like all those in the beginning of the movie, everyone's there at the funeral, and the story told is so out there. You kind of ask yourself, there's this like sense of disbelief, but then at the funeral itself, there's all the people who were featured in those stories there, and you're kind of like left to wonder, like, how much of it was real and how much of it was not. But it's a beautiful thing because the fantasy could be real. It's really kind of there's that line there.
It's like Lost.
Lost without all the conspiracy. Also notable comic books that dropped. Number one's the amazing Nightcrawler. That just dropped, which is cool. And then,
Nightcrawler looks awesome.
Yeah, and then number one, Captain Marvel, which I wish I had it. I didn't bring it. I left it at the house. But I think Kevin, you would have really liked it because I know one of your criticisms of Captain Marvel was like her outfit, her suit, her helmet kind of deal. And in the new number one Marvel, they totally kind of redid her look. She's got like these belts across her abdomen, and then she's got like these paneled boots and knee pads, and she's just more like armored. She's like a more armored Marvel than she is like a fitted, suit kind of deal. And I think it's really kind of cool. I think you would really appreciate it. That's not it.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I know you do. So those are the kind of the new comics that I'm following along, and if you can, definitely check them out because I really do. I think they're cool.
And you've got the Umbrella Academy here,
right?
Which we both watched the show. We binged it. I think you watched it first, and then I was like, okay, I'll check it out. How. You watch the show now are reading the comic?
Yeah.
So which one do you like more so far?
I'm about halfway through the Apocalypse Suite, which is the first volume of, I think they're going to finish off with 7 or 8 of the Umbrella Academy comic. And the comics are done by Gerard Way and Gabriel Ba, and they're these Spanish brothers, and they're so incredibly talented. And I believe the TV show was sort of produced and really made happen by the guy from My Chemical Romance.
What?
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that. But anyways, so Gerard Way, Gabriel Ba, Umbrella Academy, Apocalypse Suite, super good. And I like the art style. B, the writing is fun, and in the comic itself, you get a lot more of the story.
I mean, that's generally the case.
But in this case, I think...
Is it the same general story, though? Just with more detail?
No, there's a lot... Okay, well, what I'll say is, between Deadly Class and Umbrella Academy, what follows the TV what TV show follows the story more? Deadly Class. Deadly Class is like right there. It's almost like
Right.
You wouldn't
Like season 1 Game of Thrones and the book, the first book.
I didn't read. Yeah. Okay.
So that was
they're
my
very, very
experience
similar.
with, and I struggled to read the book after the show or some media, like digital media is coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't read it because it was the same exact
Really.
premise, like the first season. I was like,
Wow.
I don't need to read this.
No, well, like in Umbrella Academy, there's definitely some differences, and you get more action up front in the beginning when the kids are kids.
Oh, they go into more of the
Yeah.
like the training and the upbringing.
Yeah, there's this whole the beginning opens up with this whole scene in Paris where the Eiffel Tower actually like takes off like as, like a spaceship.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Nice.
and so I want to say right now that I like the Umbrella Academy comic series, the volume,
Better than the TV
better
series.
than what I got from the TV series.
But
you
really liked this.
I really liked the series, and we'll talk about that.
You were like, "Oh, this is incredible! You gotta watch it." And I was like,
My
okay.
words were fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
it was a
well, I wasn't
it was
gonna
a
say
two-word.
that.
It was what we cuss on the show. It's fine. Come on.
And I watched it, and the first couple episodes were a little slow, like and it was skipping around a lot. It was kind of going through them aging up and like what then sort of the origins of this academy and who the Sir Hargreaves was, and like
Reginald Hargreaves.
and
So
then like
so he's super alien, by the way. Like, and and that's like page
spoiler
2.
alert.
Yeah, well, no, but like he's like
They get it. They kind of
they do it like in the beginning of the comic.
Got it.
So you're just like, oh, well, I guess that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And they left that so completely ambiguous in the show.
My problem with the show, the TV show is on Netflix, is it's predictable. Like, and I had no familiarity with the comic at all. But like the first episode, I knew that Vanya like was not who they were making her out to be.
Yeah,
and, like,
I mean, you got the sense that it's like okay, like when are we going to see the Dark Phoenix, basically? Because that's kind of what she was.
Yeah, that
like,
was like the end of her storyline was the best part.
Yeah, she turned into a complete savage by the end.
It just had so many daddy issues. Like the whole everybody's issues originated from the daddy issues, and like it just kept going back to that and kept going back to that. And I don't know, like,
but that was kind of the whole point, right? It was the dad and how he kind of brought everybody together, and what him dying was meant to what that was supposed to sort of be the catalyst for. So I mean, kind of the theme was his death. So I mean, of course, it was going to be very prevalent.
Yeah. I just don't resonate with daddy issues. But then, just the predictability, and like there was a lot of fun parts of the show. You know, the production value of it is incredible, and I think the fact that they've had the comics to rely on has gave them a lot of very deep sort of magic systems and abilities, and like how like the interactions worked between each one of the characters. I really liked the way that. I didn't necessarily like Klaus's character.
Oh, I loved Klaus.
But I liked where he ended up, right? Like, I didn't, the whole, like, he brought a different life to it, I think, which was sometimes refreshing, but then it just got, like, again, like, when's it going to get
You thought that when he came
it?
back, from, like, when he was in Vietnam, when he came back, he was sober, right?
Yeah.
Basically. So you thought that after that point he would just stay that way, but he was like, nah,
And I also, I don't have a whole lot of like experience dealing with addiction that way, but like, I know it's tough, and I guess that's a
his addiction.
More
I'm like, I don't that's
seemed like on another level.
Sustainable.
That seemed like on another level.
Just popping pills, it was crazy
constantly.
Yeah. Okay. Some of my things, the things that I loved and liked. Number 5, Aidan Gallagher. That's the actor who plays the boy who plays number 5. He was in. I thought he was so good. I thought he kind of made the show for me because his ability to portray that older man and he kind of I pictured him like in Newsies, like he was if you remember ever watched the movie with Christian Bale, Newsies, right, based on the Broadway musical. Oh, like I pictured him as a newsie, like give me a guy, you know, like give me a papes, you know,
yeah.
you know, and he kind of had that like New York like kid swag, right? And I'm practicing my city. I'm practicing my City of Mist voice because that's gonna be my DM like persona. Anyways, so but he was awesome. He was so good, and the minute he smiled, and I know it's kind of a weird observation, but the minute he smiled, you know what? My first thought was, he's gonna play the Joker someday. He has like a Joker smile, and you put like a sick, sadistic look in that kid's eye, and that kid is a Joker.
Or the It Clown, which is the.
I never saw it.
What?
I saw the
new one.
I saw the original.
No, the new one.
I never saw the new one.
Bill Skarsgård, not Bill. Whatever the younger Skarsgård brothers, like they all have that kind of face, very animated, big mouths.
He's just got that. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't see past Joker. I just kept thinking like somebody needs to cast a kid in a Joker movie like right now. If somebody's listening, cast a kid in the Joker. But number 5 was great. I think everybody had their moment to shine except kind of Luther, Tom Harper, who played Luther, number 1, right?
Yeah.
Kind of nothing really, he didn't do anything that really blew my mind. Like, of course, there's Ellen Page. She had her moment in the sun. Allison, she did some cool stuff.
She seemed like more the main character, and I guess it kind of just fluctuated from episode to episode, but she seemed to have like a constant presence, and
I felt like I was watching Heroes again for the first time.
You made that like parallel, and
it was definitely
I didn't really get the same vibe.
You didn't get like the save the cheerleader, save the world.
No.
It was we got to.
It was too much ego. Like I don't remember in Heroes there being as much ego, except for like there was like the government. You know,
there's a little bit of like there was more like of a selflessness vibe in Heroes.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Way more selflessness. This was all like very very self-centered, and like, you know, my emotional, like, you know, experience with father was way worse than yours, and like, you were a dick to me when I was a kid, and like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to say that's petty or superficial or just kind of gets in the way, distracting of the story.
The narrative was different though. Like, these were kids in a single school, and then Heroes was more just like the world. You know,
I guess
has special people in it, and like they're all coming together and uniting around a common cause.
The way the story bounced around a little bit, especially in the first half of the season, and you kind of like, all right, where is it going? Where is it going? Where is it going? Where is it going? That was very Heroes.
I still don't know where it's going.
Very Heroes-y to me. Well, so the second volume is Dallas. Right? The second volume is Dallas. And what I believe we're seeing in this show right now is a timeline where JFK wasn't assassinated.
That's the timeline we're paying attention to right now.
That's the timeline that we just watched.
So I did really like the way that they had time travel.
Yeah,
like all based in like the 50s, which was kind of weird. Like,
or was it
like
though?
Who knows, right?
That's what
like,
I'm saying. That was really, it was very, you know, mysterious in that way.
Well, it was very clearly representative of multiple timelines and multiple like stylings, and like, you know, the way that they were portraying it was sort of steampunk / 50s, and I thought that was pretty neat. Like, it didn't need to be futuristic. So they get into some of the interior of the building, and like the way that they've got the tubes going everywhere
and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty
it was
neat.
really neat.
It was cool.
So, like I said, I liked the production, like design, and the quality was great.
Right. So I think definitely in the second volume in Dallas, and we got to see basically number 5. He leaves the grassy knoll.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of, we can kind of presume that them at the end of season 1 are going back to a timeline where that could get changed, and I'm obviously gonna read ahead, and I'll be able to tell you a little bit more about it.
Well, I don't think you should spoil it.
No.
But that was one of the issues that I had with the time travel stuff. It was just like, okay, why isn't he just fixing it constantly? Why isn't he constantly going back and fixing it and like
he couldn't.
adjusting it?
He couldn't.
Why?
Because of the formula.
Once he figured it out,
he had the formula to go forward. He has the formula to go forward, just like he did in the show. He goes forward to the future, and then he gets contracted by the peoples.
Yeah,
and they give him the ability to go to back and forth
with the briefcase.
I believe.
But I thought
I don't. That maybe that might be something I need to.
But then towards the end, I thought that he reset it. Like all those really good things happened where they Luther and Allison, they like make up and have this really beautiful dance moment, and then like he figures out how to reset it.
That
remember?
was
and then they go backwards, and then it goes in a complete alternate timeline.
Yeah,
which was the worst version of the timeline.
I know, right?
Yeah, I was man.
Did you appreciate that episode? Because that was like, it was like all that amazing, all that great stuff. Great stuff was happening. I mean, that was the point, right? We were all just supposed to be just like, oh yeah, okay,
this is the way it's supposed to work out.
This is happening, and
just
then
kidding.
Yeah,
this
and then
isn't
a
real
big
life.
Giant just kidding.
That was sort of what was irritating to me about a lot of the interactions that the characters ended up having at the end around Vanya, was that like they just treated her like crap instead of like, you know, giving her the love and support and whatever that she needed. They like, he tries to choke her out like and suffocates her, then puts her down in the freaking bin. Like, what?
That was Luther was he's kind of my Chris Pratt. Like he's kind of like my Chris Pratt Star-Lord in Infinity War. Like he kind of is a villain in this for me. Like I really didn't think that he contributed something positive.
He was actually a villain. Chris Pratt in that was like vengeful, and I guess he was too because of what she did to Allison.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's like my Chris Pratt in the story. Like he's kind of like your hero, but he's not.
That character trait bothers the shit out of me. I can't.
Which one?
That character trait, like that vengeful, like blind rage, emotion.
Oh yeah,
just can't handle it.
Yeah, I mean, get your shit together.